Good afternoon, Atanas. Thank you for agreeing to talk with us a little bit about your research. And now I would like to ask you, please, if you could introduce yourself.
Hi there. I'm happy to talk to the Romani Studies program of the Central European University. My name is Atanas Stoyanov, and I am a policy analyst and project coordinator from Brussels. Before, I'm proud to say that I have graduated the Romani Graduate Preparation Program, RGPP. That was 6 years ago.
Thank you so much. So what I would like to hear right now is that you have a report published, which I think it's a very relevant and interesting report. So could you please tell us about the framework in which what makes a measure relevant report was prepared?
Yes, the what makes a measure relevant report was prepared after a call for papers from the Romani Studies program of the CEU. And I always had this idea of having a research which explains to people who are interested in policy how European Roma inclusion actually is being made. And when I read this call for papers from the Romani Studies program of the CEU, that immediately came into my mind. So I decided really to make this paper with which I want to explain to Roma students and also to people who are interested in Roma policies and in Roma policy making, how actually the EU Roma policies are being made and how the whole process of reporting is working and what has been actually done in the last 10 years.
Thank you so much. So how long did it take for you to prepare this report? And please tell us a little bit about the methodology, if you can.
Right. So it took me maybe over a year to work on this report. The methodology of the report, I had a desktop research in the beginning where I had to go through all the reports and communications which came from the European Commission on Roma and to do a bit of analysis of the recent history of what has been made there. But also in the second part of the research, I had to conduct interviews with relevant stakeholders. For example, in this report, I have interviewed 5 national Roma contact points. Then I interviewed 5 Roma Civil Monitor experts from the Civil Roma Monitor, the first Roma Civil Monitor. And then I also had interviews with representatives of FRA and representatives of the Roma team of the European Commission. And my question was, and what I'm trying to understand is what makes a measure relevant? Like, because we all read these reports coming annually from the Commission on Roma Inclusion, and me myself, while reading these tables with numbers, I could not understand actually what has been done for Roma. In reading the reports of the Commission, there is written that national states are reporting measures that are relevant for Roma, but the relevance and the explanation of what makes a policy measure relevant was nowhere. And coming out of really of curiosity to understand whether there are standards, guidance for national Roma contact points on what makes a measure relevant, whether the Commission is kind of explaining what member states should report and what should not report, was there or not. And I started this research asking literally this question: what makes a measure relevant? What is the Roma measure for you? What makes it relevant? Why do you report what you are reporting? And this is what this research basically is about: understanding whether there are guidances on Roma relevance or measures.
Thank you so much. And so this takes to the next question: is that tell us about what makes a measure relevant. What are your conclusions? And based on this whole year work conclusions, what are your recommendations? What do you recommend in this report?
Well, I have to say that after conducting all the interviews, actually, I found out that the Commission never has prepared any guidance on Roma relevance for measures. Like, unfortunately, some member states would report all their measures that are for health, social policies, education, etc., that are mainstream measures for the whole population, but they would report them also when they are doing their report for Roma inclusion to the European Commission, which does not make much sense. So this is what I have found out. And of course, in the end of this report, I am providing some recommendations that are to be used by the staff of the European Commission working on the topic, also by some NGOs and whoever is interested in Roma policy making. And my greatest recommendation, I would say, is that so far, the European Commission has been asking member states to provide number of measures. So the reports have been very quantitative without to look at what is the content of this measure. So my first recommendation is that we should actually have these reports available publicly, because they were not available publicly in the last 10 years. So first we should make the reports public. This is my first recommendation. Then we should compare not states in number of measures they report, but we should compare, like in the moment we compare, for example, France with Germany, with Bulgaria, by number of measures reported by the states themselves. This is wrong, in my opinion. I think we should this is wrong because these member states are having different dynamics, different administrative hierarchy, different way of state functioning, policy making, etc. I think the Commission should start measuring Roma inclusion not between countries, but within countries themselves. For example, to compare efforts done by member states in 2019, in 2020, in 2021, that would make much more sense than comparing France with Germany, with Romania, with Bulgaria, etc., because this doesn't make a lot of sense. And my biggest, I would say, most important recommendation is that we really need to look at how national Roma contact points are working and how they're being empowered, because there are a lot of issues that they don't have websites. Most of them, they don't have coordination mechanisms with civil society. Most of them do not have coordination mechanisms with other institutions within the country, and actually the contact points are collecting information from the other institutions in the country. And this is really crucial for having the reporting properly and done. I really recommend for everybody interested in this matter to read the report. I'm sure more questions will arise for the reader, and it can be a basis for it can be an inspiration for another research as well, for those who are interested.
Thank you so much. Thank you. If there is anything else you would like to add about what is the relevance of this report for RGPP students, incoming students, alumni, or how they could engage more with this report, or how they could, what are the questions, for example, that weren't asked, that weren't answered, it would be also great to hear.
The report for sure will be very useful for those RGPP students who are interested in public policy, because it kind of systematizes and provides, historically information of what has been done, what's going to be done also in future, because we just adopted the new EU Roma framework until 2030. There are a lot of links in the report. So it's very easy to navigate and to click. So it's really there's a lot of information which was systematized in that report. So it is useful for those students. but also it's useful for NGOs. It's useful for, as I said, Roma EU policymakers working in the Commission. Absolutely. This question remains unanswered. What makes a measure relevant remains unanswered. I mean, the answer of this question would give a meaningful EU-Roma policy making, implementation, and reporting. I really hope in this new period, the Commission will pay more attention to it and will finally start creating a guidance on Roma relevant measures. But it's to see, and really it can be really a basis for another research on the topic.